weiß Bescheid. Nintendo.
Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
They can tell us we're crazy, and we can say, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Everything you knew was a goddamn lie. Would you up and explode like it's the 4th of July? Possessed by perfection in this land, if you're awake, you're the enemy. Where they lead, you will follow. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. And if you look away, you'll be doing what they say. And if you look alive, you'll be singled out and tried. Every day. Pick the scene and take direction. And on I search to connect, but I don't wear a mask and I have no regret. Down on your knees, you don't look so tall. Open your eyes and the empire falls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today is, I want to say, March 20th. Isn't that funny? Whenever I'm like, in the middle of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to state the date today. But the two things that immediately run through my head, which is where we get the delay after I've stated this, is, am I going to upload this today? Do I have to do that? And then also, what actual day is it? It's a funny thing not knowing what day it is, or like not needing to know the actual day. And a lot of the time too, in the past, and we'll get to it again, where we've got a few episodes banked, where we've got a few things done. Lately, it's just been like I'm trying. It's not that I'm trying to find. I was going to say I'm trying to find inspiration, but I'm not trying to find inspiration. That's the thing. I'm in this wonderful world of reprogramming everything inside me that I've reprogrammed. So it's like another elevation. And what's happening is my brain's coming up with a billion amazing ideas, and then I'm forgetting them, or they're losing place, and I'm not writing them down. I'm not taking note. But it's also because, not taking note to speak on, but it's also because I'm hesitant to speak on something that I'm not 100% sure on, but there's these things, my brain is constantly connecting dots. And so much of the if this, then that is rolling through. And what my brain naturally does, because I'm an ADHD warrior, is it will consistently have the argument in my head. My brain will run the gamut of what I'm going to say and what they're going to say, and how they believe what they believe. And then I think to myself, perhaps this is just me hesitating anything that I could possibly want to put out. But really, it's not. The idea that I want to put something out in I don't know. I don't want to say half-assed, but I want to say at least entertaining. The idea that I would put something out that's not great used to be, I can't do that for you, the audience members, the listeners. I got to put out what they want to hear, And then when you really start thinking about that shit, it's like, man, you can't do that either, because all of these people look so polished, and all of the podcasts that they create, all of the things that we go and listen to. But if I'm creating something that I think somebody else is going to want to hear, then I'm not creating what I need to create. And if I'm not creating what I need to create, then why would anyone listen? And that's the craziest thing. So as a creator, you really have to create for you. The things that you like. You've got to put out into the world the stuff that you like. And then those people will find you. As opposed to being like, well, I think this person's going to like this, so I'm going to put as much effort as I can into that, and then I'm going to come across sounding contrite and fake and phony. And then you know what you're going to get? You're going to get people making comments. That people that don't like the way you're talking. I don't trust this guy. I don't like this. I don't like that. Enough of that foolishness. I want to start this episode 250, ladies and gentlemen, with a review. I rarely ask for reviews, and it's such a weird thing. I don't want to say, hey, can you give us a review? I mean, if you want to review us, please do. A review on iTunes is super helpful. It helps people find us. We're also shadow banned up the hilt because of the topics that we have, because of the free will that we push. I've done my best to circumvent certain trigger words and keywords and generalized statements that are known to tickle the nards of the shadow banning giants. But we're still being monitored. We're still being watched. And there are still topics that I must bring up, because these are the things that will break you free from the mentality or the ideology of anxiety or depression. The anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression can only live in a lie. When you're living in your truth, they can't coexist. You can't live in your truth and be filled with anxiety and depression. And then we also are taught that that's our fault, that we don't line up with the world. But the truth be told, you are always in proper essence, and it's the world around you that's messing with you. Not that you didn't already know that. Anyway, we have a new review, and it's fun because it's been so long since we've gotten a review. I look back on the other one, I'm like, Jesus, a couple of years ago. There's a few reviews I know that haven't even posted, so I don't know if there's like a censor on reviews or what have you, but some people told me they reviewed the show, but like maybe they put something like kick ass or this is the shit, and it doesn't make it onto the review page. But this one did, and I saw it, and I really liked it. And, there's not too many metrics that give a feedback back to me personally about how you guys are enjoying the show and that sort of stuff. So if you decide you want to leave a review, I'd love to see it. Whatever it is, good, bad, or whatever. This review, I'm going to read it to you because I like reading reviews. Apparently I like reading reviews. We haven't had very many. This may be our first that I'm reading, but I like reading reviews. And it reads, I love this podcast. I found this podcast through my husband, who found it through the Tinfoil Hat podcast. I've been listening maybe a few years now, and every time I listen, it's exactly what I need to hear. Sometimes I laugh, and sometimes I cry, but the way Adam puts thoughts into words is so beautiful sometimes. My husband and I often shoot each other episodes when there is a new one. Lots of love from Sarah in Arizona. So Sarah in Arizona, thank you very much for the review. I'm happy that, it finds you. I'm happy that the message finds you and resonates with you and works with you. Because I'm kind of out there. And I often, when I say I'm kind of out there, I'm like in my own mind, I put things out there and I say things and I do my best to articulate, but I really have no idea if what I'm saying even makes sense. And I often know too, one of my, what makes me a terrible person in this universe is I'll start in on a story and crisscross into a tangent and jump all over the place. And typically I tie it all in. So by the end of the episode, I've brought it all back together, but I'm so famous for like starting a huge thing and going on this, creating a point and then jumping topics and forgetting about the point. I've gotten shit for that a few times. Subsequently, as I was looking at this review, I scanned down another one, and we have a couple of 1-star reviews, and somehow I found it. I found what the 1-star review was. It was episode 131, where I interviewed fellow Canadian Mac Parhar. And some of you may remember Mac as the Canadian guy that's totally stood against the COVID narrative, totally stood against the bullshit. He stood up against, and he went in and tried to like do a walk around in hospitals back when they were telling us that hospitals were like totally rammed and people were like falling out the windows because there was stuffed so many in there and everyone was sick and all these hospitals were empty. So he proved them wrong. He also kept his yoga studio open long after they said you got to shut down, and he had people coming in like the long arm of the law was stepping on his neck everywhere. He also traveled. He documented everything. He traveled out of country and came back in when things got a little bit less lenient, and he was supposed to quarantine and he didn't, and they busted him for that, and they were giving him a hard time, and the guy was in court for so many different things, even to the point where he was having his opinions, and his friends at the skydiving place dismissed him. He goes into all this detail about all this stuff, and it was a pretty crazy episode. It's pretty crazy to hear what the government would do to one man who is publicly standing against this, and he had quite a following, and he was living the version of life where he was standing against the tyranny from day one. He stood against it. Now, oddly enough, Mac, shortly after recording with us, passed away. And to my knowledge and to my understanding and to my research, I never found any proof that it was anything. So I would never say, oh, it was because of COVID, it was because of the vaccine. It was to me, it's got nothing to do with it. It is peculiar, it is strange, and it is timely. He was from what we all understood, a healthy man. He was recording the day before, and he went into the bathroom in his house, and he just dropped dead. So says the wife. I don't even think he was 50. So, who knows what that was. But yeah, somebody out there decided to give that episode a 1-star review simply because they didn't like the content of what we were talking about. And like I said too, there's a lot of people that follow us on Instagram that are just there to ruin our whatever, to report us, to get a shadow ban, to do whatever. Could you imagine waking up in the morning and being like, I'm just going to go around on social media and see if people are talking about things that I personally don't like, and then I'm going to report them. I think that this is the life that I need to live. How do these people exist? How is this really a thing? So yeah, in the same vein today, we got a great 5-star review, and I found out who gave us a 1-star review. And I think it's kind of disrespectful that the 1-star review came from an episode that was quite powerful. That was episode 131, if you guys do want to trail back and take a listen. But poor Mac is no longer with us. He has passed on, and this was one of the last things that he recorded. It was fun for me to talk to him. He's definitely a character. He's definitely got something to say. Yeah. And on that note too, we are definitely going to have a few more guests on the show lately, but I've been having a lot of fun just popping on and talking about stuff. I mean, things that are going on right now are hilarious. All of humanity is massively overstimulated. And the trophy generation, the kids that came up, I think even like past the millennials. How old are they now? 20, 25? If you're 20 and 25 and listening, you're not who I'm talking about. But if you're 20 to 25 and not listening to this show and complaining about everything and making demands about stuff and feeling self-righteous and self-important and not having contributed to anything, then you are kind of who I'm talking about. This trophy generation, this give me generation, we're overstimulated, and these people are like, they're aggressive towards things. I look at this and I query, I wonder, I'm like, why and what's next? We're always expecting perhaps a younger president. We're always expecting a group of people to take over. 10 years ago, it would have been nice if the economy had stayed the way it was. If the world had kept going the way it was, it would have been interesting to see how it all played out and what we may or may not have been able to accomplish. And I say that because if you look at the world right now, we are in a position where the majority of everyone is fighting everyone. Men versus women, small groups versus big groups, the blue-haireds, the she, theys, he, thems, whatever. Everyone's fighting everybody. And I look at this as sort of like an external experiment. I think to myself, there was a point in time where, late 90s, the biggest problem that we had was Vanilla Ice was the number one rapper. And that wasn't really a problem. It was a pretty cool song. Did good. But that also raised controversy. So when then we think to ourselves, the news cycle sells, the 24-hour news cycle, the this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, are we doing this for ratings? Have we lost our way? Was this gradual? Was this always intentional? But there was a moment in time where things were trucking along. People were being able to grow and produce and I guess just generally enjoy the experience of life. Things were affordable. And then you have to ask yourself, like, why did that change? Why did all of humanity start waking up? Why did the news start doing things? Why is a guy like Joe Biden currently the president of the United States of America? The guy can't even form a sentence. Yet he's supposed to be running the free world. Why is everything about control right now? Why is everything about totalitarian control? Why are we supposed to be afraid? Why did the Weather Network change all of their fancy colors and stuff like that to fear-mongering red? Oh, death zone. Why are we canceling school on a windy day? On a windy day. Wind's too high. We're shutting down the school. Why did everyone turn so soft? Why did everyone turn so soft, and why did everyone bow down to something else? At what point are we able to, or are we allowed to, appreciate our own self? At what point are we allowed to focus on ourselves? Even in this world right now, you're not allowed to focus on yourself. Everything that you do must be done for somebody else, which again is division. I wonder, and this is one of those things, I wonder if all of the stuff that we look right now to be terrible is really terrible. I mean, it appears to be terrible from a third dimensional perspective. But is it? Because it is waking people up. And yes, everything seemed okay in the late 90s, early 2000s. Our grandparents bought houses for $16,000. Meanwhile, anyone that's under 30 has never left home today, for the most part, because nobody can afford to. And here we are griping. Everyone's like, the term living in your mother's basement, for example, used to be a derogatory term. And that's a funny thing, because from get-go, from birth, the kids go to separate schools. The parents go to separate jobs. The family unit is destroyed. And at the idea that you could keep the family unit together any longer, it's mocked and ridiculed by society. We're programmed to make fun of anyone that stays in their family unit. Why do we have to be divided? And the way the world's going right now, people are moving back home. People are reconnecting with their family. They're upset about it, yes. But the truth is, underneath all of that, underneath everything that we're doing, there's this reunited unity, and that is family unit first, self second. When you can start connecting with yourself, because now you have, I guess, the means to do it, or it seems like everything is sort of pushing us that way. like, why on earth? Like, there's so much division. In other words, there's so much division that it makes you focus inward. The external world outside is just madness. It's absolute madness. But it takes individuals like you and me to create the external world. And if individuals like you and me worked on unifying ourselves or our thoughts or our comprehension of who we are, then they can't take anything from us externally. Right now, we've got one of the points of contention is women fighting men, and there are dickhead men out there for sure, and there are dickhead women out there for sure, right? But the weird thing is, and when you really think about it, the women who are bitching about the men are the women with poor taste in men. So where did that poor taste come from? Where did the idea that dangerous was attractive and anything that was safe and comfortable wasn't worth drawing your attention to? In other words, why are every single woman out there has a man in her quote unquote friend zone that would be the best thing in the world for her? Yet all of society says go for the dangerous one. Meet somebody you've never met before and fornicate and build a relationship after fornicating, as opposed to building a relationship of trust with a human and then creating something bigger with it. Our fundamental idea of coupling is twisted. Who twisted it? Why did it get twisted? Why do we feel this? And on top of that, why do we always feel alone? Because we are. Why are we surrounded by millions of people but always alone? Why are when we look around and we see all the cool kids hanging out with them, like their best friends and all this sort of stuff, these people feel alone. Even when they're in their own cliques, they feel alone. But we feel alone and we look at them and they seem like they're all together, but they're not. So we're even comparing ourselves to them and with them and utilizing an image of somebody who seems to be together. But you ask 99% of the people in North America and they'll say, I'm surrounded by millions, yet totally alone. I wish I could make more friends. I wish I could do this. But then again, once you make these new friends, you never feel that connection, right? We're all looking for that one connection that's fascinating. And the only way we're going to get there is if we go inside. It comes through you. It comes through you. Once you can truly love you, then other people are next. Once you can truly trust yourself, then other people are next. When you understand that you don't have to fight anyone, right? You can just witness other people fighting, and then you can even say to yourself, well, why are they even fighting? There's no need to fight. There's no need for controversy. There's no need for any of this stuff. It is controversy that sells. And it is influence that we are all under. We all read the news. Nobody. I mean, does anyone really read the news anymore? Is anyone even paying attention to the news anymore? I turned it on the other day. I flicked it on or I saw something or a clip or somewhere. And some archaic news media management had the White House presser up. And what is it? The cast of Ted Lasso was in the White House trying to push a message or something like that. At what point do we just say, you've all fucking lost it? Every single person in the news media trying to grab attention, just desperately grasping at straws. The people that are waking up, the people that are entering into the fifth dimension, the people who are ascending don't have time for bullshit. And the people that aren't ascending clearly need to see more bullshit for them to be like, I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. And I think that's one of those things. I think that for those of us who started seeing things early on, to watch this train wreck of a society or a reality barrel down the tracks, every single time it gets lower and lower and lower, it's picking up new people. And we just have to sit there and watch it. So, I mean, there is an end game. I mean, obviously, we're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff, bank collapses and all this sort of shit. It's just going to keep coming. But I personally think that all of it's an opportunity to reassess who and where you are and what you want to do. And how you want to go about what you want to do. And that's kind of the cool thing about it. The further down we go, the more you're going to find, the more people are going to come up to you and be able to talk. The more people are going to listen to this show. Because we've been free thinking forever. And our bad reviews come from people who don't like the idea of free thinking. So even this show is under attack, which is funny. I look at that sort of thing, a 1-star review. Who takes the time to do that? It's kind of funny. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 250. 250 episodes. And I've said this before, but every single time I record an episode, it feels like I'm just getting started. And honestly, I find my voice a little bit more, and I have these breakthroughs. And right now, it's been a long time. It's been 3-4 months. Also, this has been noted as the darkest winter in Canadian history, I think, or in 73 years or something like that. I can't remember. And what they mean is the sun just hasn't been out. And that's not something that any of us are used to. So there's a huge transition going on. And we're also all quite well aware of weather modification. And to say that there is no weather modification, there was a time where I would have to defend quote unquote chemtrails or new ideologies. But the truth is the burden of proof is really on the old ideologies, right? I know what you've said and I know how things are believed and I know what I believed when I was younger. But really, if you're going to keep making those statements, somebody has to back something up with some sort of truth, not just straw man accusations or a straw man attack. Don't make fun of me because I've questioned your beliefs. Because those beliefs used to be my beliefs as well. So I questioned my beliefs until I thought I was crazy. And then I started voicing them outside when I started coming to truths, started coming to understandings. I don't know, man. The world's going to get weirder, and we're going to be right here talking about all of it. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it too. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do like the show, please head over to iTunes, leave a review. I'd like to see them. I would. I really would like to see a review. And Sarah from Arizona, thank you for leaving your review. The next reviews that are up there, I will read online as well. And again, if you guys want to send us an email, go right ahead, info@thementalmasteryalliance.com. If you have any interest in elevating your game, your sales game, your marketing game, your internet presence, your functionality, if you want to be a public speaker, anything like that, hit us up. Coaching@TMMA or coachingwithtmma.com. There's a couple forms there. You can fill that out. If you want to be a guest on the show, or if you want me to guest on your show, head over to requestttoguest.com and fill out one or the other form. Have me on your show, or you come on my show. We will be checking those, and we will be replying to almost everybody. Sometimes things don't check or bounce back or what have you. So make sure if you have sent one in to us that you check your white filter, your spam box for our reply. This has been a fun one. 250, ladies and gentlemen. So here's to 250 more, and then we'll see where we go from there. But yes, 250 episodes. I love this. I can't wait to get to 500, then 1,000. Then who knows where we're going to be. This is going to be an archaic. Somebody somewhere in the future is going to pull this show in its entirety and go, look, here is a foretelling of everything that we've ever seen from the times of blah, 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 blah. The old Biden era. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.